No need to look any further. We have found it. We have found the dumbest thing ever. Let's get locked on Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor. I'm your host, Cam Stewart of ESPN Central Texas, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where, of course, it is your team every day. And thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. I know Hanukkah started the night of Christmas, right? The 25th. So hope it's been a great time for all of you to kind of just sit back, enjoy the company of family and loved ones, and hopefully get to watch some football. And we're going to have some more this weekend and into next week. Of course, the big boys play on Tuesday, that being the New Year's Eve day when the Bears will take on the LSU Tigers. We're going to be talking about what is a really stupid story circulating around social media for some reason. Plus taking a look at some of the Big 12 disrespect from a new light. And I'm talking about through the transfer portal, who the Bears picked up commitments from just before Christmas, and looking at men's basketball. And we need to take a look at men's basketball a little bit and their recent re-entry into the top 25 and whether that's deserved. All that and more is coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. I know there were some of you out there that were taken aback by a headline yesterday on social media. And of course, I mean, for all of us, when we see it, we're like, wait, what? What? We're kind of looking like, scroll up, see if we find anything else. But I saw this all over the place. Saw it a lot on Facebook, but saw it on Twitter as well. Sad news. Baylor Bears head coach Dave Aranda and QB Sawyer Robertson suspended for LSU Tigers match due to ... link. Or how about breaking news? A few minutes ago, Dave Aranda retirement confirmed and announces to fans and entire public ... sport hour link. Oh my God, what is happening? Is this for real? No, it's not. Of course it's not. I didn't think I'd have to say that, but you would be surprised at how many people, Baylor fans, actually were like, oh my God, why am I not seeing this anywhere else? We've got no chance anymore. Or some Baylor fans thinking, heck yeah, get rid of the loser mentality. No, guys, it's not real. Don't even click on it. Actually, your phone will probably explode if you click on that link. Don't do it. In fact, if you need any kind of breaking news about Baylor, don't get it from some name you get. Like, this isn't even a real name. Like, I know names can be difficult, but KIDMC, what name is that? Kidmick Therese Ayo. with a link that's like the length of a CVS receipt. And the first one, that first story that talks about apparently Dave Aranda probably retired because of the suspension, but that he and Sawyer Robertson were suspended for this game. It's a picture of Dave Aranda and Blake Shapen. He's not playing in the Texas Bowl, I'll tell you that much. Oh, man. So what, I mean, this is going to sweep the nation. Like, what is forcing Dave Aranda to retire right now? And why do just the head coach and the starting quarterback get suspended for the Texas Bowl? Y'all do not fall for this. Honestly, I was like, this must mean Baylor is somewhat back, right? They didn't win the Big 12 championship or anything like that, but we've got fake news stories being thrown out there about them and their head coach being suspended and their quarterback being suspended for the Texas Bowl, where in reality, it's LSU that's going to be missing a lot of their starters in this bowl game. But I don't think Brian Kelly is suspended, but maybe he retired. Who knows? I'll just wait for that story to drop. Oh my God. It's so dumb, y'all. It's so dumb. But the closer we get to this Texas Bowl, the more excited I get. And part of it is because we haven't seen a Baylor football game in 4 weeks. Right? 4 weeks from tomorrow, as this episode drops, is the last time that we saw the Baylor Bears playing a football game. I miss that. We got to get that back. And again, looking at this roster, that LSU is throwing out there, like I like Baylor's chances in this game, because I know there will be people that will say, "Oh, there's plenty of talent in the down the depth chart at LSU." Of course there is. It's LSU. It's a big time program. They got a good coach in Brian Kelly, and the people will say, "Oh, well, they got 4 weeks to practice. They're going to get these guys up to speed." And like, look, that's great, but Baylor's had guys who have played all season long, and they get 4 weeks of practice to prepare for LSU. A different look LSU, sure, but when you are probably not having 3 of your top 4 pass catchers and neither of your starting offensive tackles and none of your 3 free safeties on your whole roster and 1 scholarship tight end, that is a bit different than what Baylor has to deal with in terms of losses. Of course, they don't have Corey Gordon in this game. That's pretty much the only starter that they lose for this game. Like that's it. Snacks Johnson going to the draft. He's playing. And I think that is, I want to get more into this as we kind of get closer to it. I know the game's only a few days away, but there is kind of a culture thing that some people will overlook, that Baylor players don't opt out of bowl games. And there will be some, negative Nellies who will be like, well, they don't have any NFL draft prospects. True. Not really. Snacks going to the draft. Obviously, Matt Jones will go into the draft. But no one that's going to be taken day 1 or 2, right? But you look back at that 2021 team, and they had what? 5-6 guys drafted on that team? Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie, Tyquan Thornton, JT Woods, right on down the list, man. There are plenty of guys that were drafted from that team. And they all played in the bowl game. JT Woods had a couple of picks in the bowl game. Terrell Bernard was the defensive MVP of the game. Tyquan Thornton caught a touchdown in that game. They all played in the bowl game. So it's part of it. It is part of this culture with Baylor and plenty other Big 12 teams too. I mean, you usually see Big 10, SEC that are opting out of these games. And I love that culture, because for us as fans, we treat every game like it matters. And when you have a player or players or half your roster opting out of a bowl game, it's like, well, what am I going to get up for? Especially those of you who are, booking flights, traveling to the bowl game right around Christmas, holiday season. It's hectic. You're spending a lot of money anyway. You're spending money to go to that game. Like, to have a culture where these guys are like, no, I'm going to play. What do you mean? Like, we play the bowl game. That's refreshing. And who knows, maybe 5 years from now, Baylor's gone to the playoff a couple of times and they're playing in a non-playoff bowl game and they start getting opt-outs. And maybe that's a good thing, having gone through, the playoff thing. But as of right now, they are not having guys opt out. Of course, they have the starting quarterback and head coach suspended, and the head coach is retiring. Of course, there's all that happening. But other than that, there aren't guys opting out. So I will take the slight bump in the road of the starting quarterback and head coach being suspended and the head coach retiring for the benefit of not having a bunch of guys opt out. Were you guys caught by this? Please be honest. Let me know down in the comments below. I had to do a double take. I think we all had to do a double take. But y'all, unless it's coming from Locked On Baylor, it's not canon. I'm telling you. If you want the news about Baylor and what is happening around this team, it's you should be getting it from Locked On Baylor. We're your first listen today and every day. We're the only place that's bringing you exclusive Baylor sports content that's not directly tied into the university. We're the only one that's doing that. So don't listen to what was the name? Can I get the name one more time, please? Producer behind the glass. What was the name here? Kidmc. KIDMC. How about CAM? That's all you got to remember. CAM. That's a real name, Cam Stewart. That's the one who's bringing you nothing but correct Baylor news 5 days a week and on the weekends and sometimes on holidays. Anyway, let's look at the portal a little bit. Who Baylor's added and what the newest conspiracy theory is within the walls of the Big 12 as it pertains to the transfer portal. We're going to go over that next on Locked On Baylor. First, let's hear from Rocket Money. Let me ask you this question. Has Rocket Money helped you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or you were paying for twice? Well, it definitely happened to me. And if you answered no, it's because you haven't used it yet. Trust me, guys, I love Rocket Money. It saved me a bunch of money, especially in this holiday season where I'm buying so many gifts for people and traveling. Rocket Money came in huge for me. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills so that you can grow those savings. It brings everything together in one place: subscriptions, spending habits, even the goals that you're going to want to hit in 2025 for your New Year's resolutions. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not BSing you. This thing saves me money every month. I just did a move, so I had to go through Rocket Money to see what bills I had to cancel. I was paying double for some stuff. They've got it. I love that subscription tracker. Okay, because there are plenty of things where I've used to use, don't use anymore, and I'm still paying for it. And so I've already saved on that. They also have this goals feature. I've been able to automatically set aside that money for my future. It's a budgeting all in the same app. No more stressing about it. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. One more time, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, we went over fake news. In that first segment here. Now we're going to get you into something of a conspiracy theory. Although I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. There's a different word for it. And I guess I don't have a good enough vocabulary to find what that word is. Because conspiracy theory, it's, there's a certain level of fugazi to it, right? But here, like, we're seeing proof in the pudding, and there's no real logic behind it. And so this was uncovered, and this is what I love about the Big 12, is you can find some great things uncovered by what you would say is your average Joe, but a big-time football fan, a fanatic. This is from Tanner Christensen, big BYU guy. He puts out, who does 247's portal rankings? The drops from high school ratings are crazy, and he's looking at 2 transfers coming into BYU this year. One, a tackle from Michigan, and the other an edge rusher from the University of Texas. 2 pretty big-time college football programs, both made the playoff last year. Of course, UT made the playoff again this year in the 12-team playoff. And you look at, they've got, they were both 4-star recruits out of high school and are now 3 stars in the transfer portal. And their ranking, their kind of rating system from 247, the points that they attach to it, are way different. So basically, Andrew Gentry's the first one, the tackle from Michigan, and he's a 96 rating out of high school, and now he's an 86. And Tasuli Akana, the edge rusher from UT, was a 94 out of high school and is now an 85 in the transfer portal. 10 and 9-point drops. Those are huge drops. Like, where are we getting that from? Just because they're leaving the Big Ten and the SEC to go and play in the Big 12? Because, like, that's what I'm thinking. And I love this. The first comment was, Gentry only played 2 snaps last year. He said he started 2 games. Not 2 snaps. He started 2 games. So this is interesting. I know the argument is going to be, oh, well, when these guys don't play as much, their rating is going to drop. To me, it's like, well, why? We're going off of prospects for a lot of the transfer portal, unless it's the case of Dylan Gabriel or Cam Ward, where or Adonai Mitchell a couple years ago from UT, where that those guys can be studs and were studs in Power 4 college football, and they're going to another Power 4 program. Other than those rare cases, it's mostly, hey, this guy was good in high school, man. We were on his trail in high school, and we like the look of this kid. This is someone we need to look into. Or it's a relationship with a coach. Maybe your school didn't recruit him, but this coach, the quarterback coach, recruited him somewhere else, and now he's there with you. And so to see that it's like dropping by 10 points, like that to me screams like we don't love the Big 12, and we think the Big 12 is an inferior brand of football, to the point where if someone's going to the Big 12, it's probably not that great. They're not that great a player. And there have been some drops in some of the Baylor transfer targets as well, and commitments as well. I was looking through it on 247 the other day, and you're seeing, I should say, seeing it from guys leaving Baylor and guys coming to Baylor. Matthew Fobbs Whites went down. Samu Tamanu Pepe is how I'm saying it for now. The nose tackle from A&M was a 4-star out of high school. He's down to a 3-star in the transfer portal and an 86 rating. You got to be at least a 90 rating out of high school. He was a 94. Drops 8 points. And for what? Okay, so he hasn't played. We're going to knock him down a peg because he hasn't played after 1 year at A&M? That doesn't make any sense. Y'all, does that make any sense? By the way, speaking of the Big 12, I'm going to be locked into this Alamo Bowl. BYU and Colorado. Like this is what we need as a conference. It's coming up tomorrow, Saturday. 17th ranked BYU, 23rd ranked Colorado at the beautiful Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. This rocks for the Big 12. Okay? Because at one point, it looked like BYU was going to be the playoff team from the Big 12. And it looked like they were shoo-in for the playoffs, a month and a half ago. And the team that made a pretty good charge for most of the season up until the penultimate week were the Colorado Buffaloes. And we know, ESPN hates the Big 12, but they would push heaven and earth if they had an opportunity to get Colorado in there. And by the way, before that loss to Kansas, I think Colorado deserved to be in there. I think they were, one of the top teams in the Big 12, and obviously a top 15, top 20 team. And it would have been really exciting to see Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders playing in that. But instead, we get these two teams that were heavyweights throughout the whole year taking on each other in an all Big 12 Alamo Bowl, which I don't think any of us expected. But I honestly didn't know until those bowl projections came out that these guys could, or that these two teams could actually play in the Alamo Bowl against each other. But these are two fun teams in very different ways. Obviously, Colorado's got that electric offense with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and a pretty damn good supporting cast as well. BYU has won games on defense. And the best part about all of this is that Shedeur and Travis Hunter are playing in the game. Plenty of people have been critical of Colorado and their culture around that program. Myself, very chief among them. I did a whole segment earlier this year before the Baylor game about whether this is the right culture at Colorado. In fact, I did, what I was doing was comparing it to Baylor's, and both these teams are looking for the same thing, and they're going about it very different ways. And for all the crap that comes with it, because there's plenty of crap, there's still the head coach, lobbying to the university for them to play Shedeur's rap song after he scores a touchdown instead of the school fight song. There's still Dion calling out local news reporters because someone from a national website wrote something that Dion didn't like. Like there's still that air of arrogance, let's call it, around the program and specifically the head coach. But got to give it to him, man. How often would you see, the Heisman Trophy winner and probably the top quarterback that's going to be taken in the draft playing in the Alamo Bowl? I mean, there's a world where those guys go number 1 and number 2 in the draft. That's a real scenario. And they're going to play in the Alamo Bowl. Hell yeah, they're going to play in the Alamo Bowl. This is Big 12 football, baby. And CU does not have a lot of fans in Big 12 country outside of Boulder. But guys, this is something that should be appreciated and should be celebrated. It should be the norm, but it's not. And I've got a ton of respect for those guys in particular, but both teams pretty much going full strength. I know that each team's got guys in the portal. That's a different story. But for these guys who are entering the draft, they're playing in this game. So you're going to see best on best here. And in a way, this is like the Big 12 consolation game, right? When you look at the standings, Iowa State is going to have finished in second. Had a real good year. And Arizona State obviously is the champion. But when you went back and you watched that Big 12 championship game, Arizona State looked a couple spots better than Iowa State in the standings. And now you've got two teams that were battling for that Big 12 championship and playoff spots all season long that are going to face off against each other, best on best in the Alamo Bowl. So Arizona State, we're not taking that Big 12 title away from you. We can't do that. And best of luck to you in the playoffs. Do us all a big favor and take down the Longhorns, please. But this is like the most exciting battle for second place in the Big 12. Because I'm going to say, if one of these teams beats up on the other, I think they should leapfrog Iowa State. And while I really like the way BYU's won games this year with their defense and kind of hair on their chinny chin chin kind of thing, I think Colorado's probably I think Colorado's a better team. Not probably. I think they are the better team. And if it comes down to one or two positions, so be it. They're really good at those positions. And it would just been fascinating the way this season panned out for the Big 12. I know you can't change this, and there's a reason why it's 12 weeks. But if it was like 15 weeks in the regular season, I think you would have had you'd have a completely different Big 12 championship. As well as Arizona State was playing. Colorado, I think, gets that momentum back. Baylor's the hottest team in the conference going into that week. So it would have been probably a different story. But that shows the strength of the Big 12 and what an event this is going to be for the Big 12. I love this for our conference. And I think it's a real testament to not only this conference, but of course, these two teams in Colorado and BYU, they're going to go strength on strength. So that's going to be appointment television. Let's line it up, kick that thing off, give us a great warm up before the Big 12 takes out the SEC in the Texas Bowl. We'll be looking forward to that. Baylor basketball. Yeah, it's still going on. In fact, they got a game during the Texas Bowl. Do they deserve to be in the top 25? Let's talk about that next on Locked On Baylor. But of course, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now, y'all, we are winding down the NFL regular season. Playoffs are right there. Right there. We can almost reach out and touch it, but there's still time to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Okay, there's so many ways for you to do it too, y'all. I mean, you don't just need to pick a winner or a loser or a point spread. You don't have to do, you can, but you don't have to do that. You can also do, which players can score a touchdown, how many points each team will score. That way you're building up the offense. That's the excitement of the game. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of, you guessed it, the NFL. Baylor men's basketball back in the rankings. Now, obviously, this has been an up and down season for the Bears. And, of course, the downs have come against very good teams. I mean, you look at the teams they lost to. Should they have been closer? Probably. But, Gonzaga, Tennessee, and UConn are all sitting there in the top 10, top 15. UConn's had a nice little bounce back after the 3 straight losses. They're up to 11. OU has stuck up there. That won't last very long. But Baylor comes back in at 25 with a record of 7-3. Should they be ranked in the top 25 at this point in the season? Yes, but barely. I think this is a good spot at 25. Because, it's kind of funny. I thought about how we thought of the college football playoff when thinking about this ranking in terms of, all we heard about in college football in the playoff was branding. And what the SEC is in football is what the Big 12 should be in basketball. And maybe that's happened over the last few years and I've missed it. But if there's going to be a bias towards any conference, an excellence bias towards any conference in basketball, it should be the Big 12. And when we come down to that, it's who have you lost to? Remember, that's all we talk about with football in the college football playoff. Who did you lose to? Well, that's a good loss. You're fine. That's a good loss. Basically a win. Baylor's got good losses. Tennessee, UConn, and the other one, Gonzaga. All top 15 teams. Good losses. But what I stress during, college football and the playoff rankings is, well, do we have good wins? We get some good wins in there. Baylor beat a ranked St. John's team at the time, a team that was obviously that is coached by a Hall of Famer, has been in and around the rankings all year. They're receiving votes this week. Beat that team. You also beat Arkansas, who's ranked 2 spots ahead of you at 10-2 and ranked number 23. So it's not just about who you lost to, because those are pretty good, but your wins are also pretty good too. And I think for this team going forward, I think Scott Drew and his men can draw a lot of inspiration from Baylor football. It's not been a disastrous start to the season, but it's been underwhelming for the team that we saw coming in after the summer, with the great transfers and some obviously terrific freshmen too. It's been underwhelming to be 7-3. But you look at a football team that was 2-4, turns into one of the hottest teams in the country. And like I said in the last segment, if the season was 2 or 3 weeks longer, they would be the Big 12 champions. Horseshoes and hand grenades, you don't win hypotheticals, but that's what they would have been. And so you look at this team, it's like, man, everything's ahead of them. Football was 2-4 and 0-3 in the conference. That sunk their Big 12 championship ship. This team, 7-3, a little disappointing, I think is fair to say, but it's all ahead of them. Like, those games don't even really count. It all starts on Tuesday when you take on Utah. And that's when the real season starts. So do they deserve to be ranked? Yes. Do they deserve to be inside the top 20? Probably not. I think 25 right in there is fair. And we're going to find out about this team. You got the Arlington Baptist, and then you've got Utah. And then Cincinnati and Big 12 basketball. That's where we're going to learn about this team. But I think it is fair to say it's been disappointing so far. It's also fair to say the season hasn't really started yet. Let me know what you guys think about this team. What are the expectations? Should we curb the expectations? Should we lower the expectations for this basketball team as they sit at 7-3? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. A bunch of you watching are not subscribed. Seriously, that helps out a lot. And leave a comment or tweet at us at Locked On Baylor, at me, at Real Cam Stewart. Thank you so much for making it your first listen today and every day. We'll obviously have some Texas Bowl prep for you beginning of next week, and then we bring you right into the game. Can't wait for it, guys. I will see you then on your favorite show, which is, of course, what else would it be but Locked On Baylor?